Hello everybody, I am trying something new here. Last night I was trying to do a Facebook Live and there were all kinds of glitches, so I thought I'd redo it today and try to do a YouTube Live. So hopefully this is recording and all is well. My name is Lillian Kemp from Stamper's Niche. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Alberta, Canada. And I know that we have people watching from everywhere. And so do take a moment to say hello and maybe share where you're watching from. Um, one of the purposes of me coming to you live is that it's a place where we can connect and chat and discover some paper crafting skills all together. So I have a neat project for you tonight. So as I go down to my desktop, I have a question for you. What fall colors do you typically create with? Do you create with the oranges and the rust colors, or do you like to throw in some blues and that kind of thing? So share that in the comments and I will do my best to make this all go as smoothly as possible. So there we go, just like that. And because I'm new to this, I will have to reply to your comments afterwards because I don't know where to find them right now. I'm just trying different things. Now, as some of you know, I was fortunate enough to go to an event on Saturday that was part of Stampin' Up! Celebrating their 35th anniversary, and there were over between 90 and 100 people at it. It was so exciting. I met people that I have never met before. I met people, friends that I haven't seen in a long time. That's the joy of one of these. And even the CEO of Stampin' Up!, Sarah Douglas, and her daughter Stella were there. So it was fabulous. So kudos to Lindsay and Kelly and Lauren for organizing it. And one of the neat things that we did was we took part in a swap. So I made 21 cards and I traded with 20 other people. So I have this whole bag of swaps and I will be sharing them with you later. But I wanted to share some of the fall related ones as we're talking about fall colors. So this one here uses some of the traditional fall colors but brings in a bit of pretty peacock. And this was made by Carmen Carnegie. So gorgeous right there. And she's used that plaid stamp. I really like that. This one here is the pumpkins. And again, we've got a mix of traditional and maybe what we would consider non-traditional. And this one was made by Anne-Marie Hum. And this one here, again, it's a nice mix. And this one was created by, let me just see here, Kelly Entz, one of the organizers actually, and love the combo of colors. And do you notice this shape right here? I'm going to talk to you right now just about that. That shape is made by the Heartfelt Hexagon Punch, which is part of a bundle you can find in the online exclusives. And it's going to be one of the it's sort of a pre-release because it's going to be one of the ones featured during World Card Making Day. And what is World Card Making Day, you might say? It's a free event that's being offered by Stampin' Up! On October the 7th. And they are going to do it all online so you can join or you can watch the replay. It's fabulous. They are going to oh, Kathleen, I see your comment popping up. So glad you're catching me here. So that means I'm working. It's working. Do you know what? You had problems seeing my video last night and my computer wasn't working either. And I've heard others. So I think Facebook gremlins are at work. So I'm glad you're catching me here. So these are the stamp sets that they will be using, but it is designed so you can use these or you can use whatever you have in your stash. Now you might say, how do I register for that? I'd love that free event. I'd love to take part. Well, if you go to my website right here, and I'll just have it on my laptop. So here's my website. And if you scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see this right here. So click on that. World Card Making Day. Okay. So let's go back to, if you click the little arrows, you can go back. Okay. And there it is. Now it's pulled it up and you see right there that you can register. So just go ahead and register and you'll be part of all the fun and creativity. So there's a little something for you to consider. So I mentioned my online store. One of the things that has been released recently is some new designer papers in the online store, and I just got these. These are called the tartan foil, so they're 12 by 12. These are just 6 by 12 here, and they come in Lost Lagoon, Pebbled Path, and Copper Clay, and they are even more gorgeous in real color. So this is one side, and then on the other side, the foil is enhanced by the white. So you've got the two different contrasts. So you've got those two different looks. So in case you were wondering what those look like, that's what they look like. All right, enough chatter. Let's get to the project. Tonight, I am going to be featuring the Deckled Circles on a project. And the Deckled Circles can be found in the mini catalog. And on page 63, so they're right up here, and you might have missed them, but they're really, I think, a must-have set of dies. And just as a little aside, you could go on a deckled circle hunt all the way through the catalog. See, here are a few here, and they're used in a lot of the different projects. So the deckled circles have actually 14 dies. So they are really graduated. You have such a selection. I always put the number of dies on my folder so that I know if any are missing. So tonight, or today, pardon me, I'm used to doing a Facebook Live at night. I'm going to use this one right here. So if you start at the outside, 1, 2, 3, it's the fourth one in. And as you see this project, you might make your own decision as to what size you want to use. So that's what I'm using right there, and I will bring in the paper. Whoops, there we go. I had to regroup after last night's fiasco. So we're starting card base with, that's a regular half size of cardstock, so half size piece. So it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So let's just make that fold right now. And there we go. We've got our card base, and we're going to set that aside because we're not going to need it for a while. And I'm going to keep this for just a minute to explain it. Then we've got a piece of basic white that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. So yes, when it goes on your card base, you're going to have equal borders on these 3 sides, but it's going to be a little wider here, and I'll explain why in a little bit. And then we've got a piece of basic black that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then we have some scraps of pumpkin pie. So let's look at what we're going to make. That's what the fun of it is. This is what we're going to make. We're going to make this card right here. So we're going to use the Let It Snow sentiment as well. So let's see how I went about doing that. So first off, I cut one of these circles out of this paper, and because I have an extra piece from last night, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm not going to cut it out. And then I only want half of it. As you can see, it's half of the circle on here. Now, I'm not that terribly good at math, so what I did is I cheated a little bit. I took some scrap paper, cut the same circle out. Whoops, sorry, that's not the same circle. I grabbed the wrong piece of scrap paper. Here it is. Took some scrap paper, cut the circle out, folded it in half, then lined my fold up at the cut, and realized if I put the outside edge of the circle about 2 1/4, I would have about half of a circle. And it doesn't matter if it's an exact half or not. So if you are not good at maybe measuring and dividing in half, because it's a kind of a wonky size, there's a quick and easy way to figure out halves for you. And that's what I did. And I came up with this here. So let's start by doing our stamping first. So we're going to bring back this 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece, and because it's on black, I'm going to bring in my Embossing Additions toolkit here, and you'll notice I always keep my embossing buddy attached to my Versamark because I tend to forget to use it otherwise. But if I attach it and have to physically remove it from the Versamark, then it reminds me. So what I'm going to do, I am going to stamp over in this corner because the face is like this. I'm going to add this embossing buddy is a true buddy. It makes sure that your powder, when you put it on, is only going to stick where you want it to stick and no other places where you might have a bit of oil from your fingers or whatever. So the reason I brought in the foam mat is I'm using clear stamps, or otherwise known as photopolymer, and they work better if they have a bit of cushion. And the sentiment I'm using, Let It Snow, comes from the Sparkling Snowflake stamp set, which is part of a bundle too. So we're going to ink it up in Versamark, and then we're going to stamp it. And so this is a clear ink, but it's sticky, so stuff will stick to it, and that's what we're wanting. So we've got that. We'll move that out of the way. Then we're going to bring in our embossing powder and our toolkit. And I like to use this tray because it catches the scraps, the little powders that fall, and then you can funnel them back into your container. So we're going to sprinkle this white embossing powder on here, and just like that, it sticks to where we stamped. There's a few other strays here. I'll use my brush to brush them off. And we've got that. We're going to put the lid back on because I've been known to spill things. So there we go. We'll move that to the side and bring in our heat tool. So it's going to get noisy. So our heat tool is actually going to, it gets really hot and it melts that powder so that it is shiny and raised up. Well, Kathy, hi. Do you know what? Ladies, this is my very first time to go live on YouTube. I decided since last night on Facebook didn't work, I try it this way. So this is exciting to know some of you are there. Excellent. Welcome, welcome. That means it's working. You know me, I'm a little challenged with technology and I never know if I'm really doing things right. So now it's all raised, and once it's cool, you can wipe off the excess. I'll just use that powder that was left. There we go. That's what a sleeve is for, right? Now we could leave it just like that, but you'll notice that on here I have, so this is called wet embossing. I did some dry embossing. So why don't we do that too? So we will bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine right here, and we'll bring in this great embossing folder, the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. So you notice it's got intense snowflakes at the top, and then they get lighter as they go down to the bottom. So I'm going to put my paper in, and when you have embossing folders, they now have this black line so you can get things straight. Now with this design, it doesn't matter because it's so random, but if you had something that had lines on it or something, it might matter to you. Now I'm using plate number 1. I'm putting my embossing folder in fold first and making sure it's not hanging over the edges. And then I'm using the specialty plate number 4 that you can get to use with 3D embossing folders, and running it through just like that. And we'll get rid of all of this. And when we open it up, we have that lovely texture and it looks so good. Now I always stamp first because it's really difficult to stamp once you have that texture there. So to keep life easy and simple, that's the way to go about it. So now we've got this done. What is our next step? Our next step is to apply the snowman face to it. So we're going to do that, and I've shown this little trick before. Anything that you have that has a ledge, sorry about that glare there, let's move that out of the way, is really helpful. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my adhesive on the back here, and I don't go too close to the edge because I don't want it to ooze out. Now I want this edge and this edge to be flush, to be exactly the same. So if I snug this up to a ledge, now your trimmer works well. If you have a, the Simply Scored, it works well. Likely even anything that you have around in your house that has something that has a ledge. But this works well right here. And then I'm putting this up to the edge, giving them both a good little push. I forgot to stick the glue down. That would be helpful. There we go. And now they're nice and even, and I don't have to worry about holding them in the air and trying to get them straight. So there's a little trick right there. Now what I'm going to do is wrap some ribbon around to make the scarf. So my original had this. Last night we used the red. So I'm going to bring in a different color. This I think would be so pretty. Like that, because it sparkles, or we can go with this. Let me see. I'm torn. I think I'll go with this just because it's going to be easier to use, but I sure like that other blue as well. So I'm going to cut a piece that's just a smidge longer so that I can wrap it around to the back and bring in my, you could use seal or you could use glue dots. I'm going to use glue dots here. So I put one end in and then make like a horseshoe like that. So I've got glue dots on the two ends. And now I'm going to run it like that and just wrap the ends to the back. So it's right on the edge. It's looking like the snowman's scarf, or it's beginning to look like the snowman's scarf. There. Now we are going to bring in this kind of wonky piece. And the reason it is just a little bit narrower, it's not going to have the border all around. Once again, we are going to make these flush on this side. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer again. I'm going to put my white piece down, add adhesive to this one. And then I can make my edges nice and even, just like that. Now, when I originally started doing this card, I did have the bit of white here, and for some reason it made the snowman look a little bit funny in my book. So you could try it and see, but this is how I felt it was just worked a little better. The next steps you can do in whatever order you want to do. These ones, I just put flush down with the card. So why don't we try putting this on dimensionals and having just a slightly different look. I seem to have a whole bunch of scraps of dimensionals left. So oops, didn't peel the backing off of that one. So we're going to use some of them up. And just remember, these edges are still dimensionals, and if you want to cut them, I always leave them on the backing so that they don't gum up my scissors. It keeps the sticky off your scissors. But you can also, and this was life-changing for me, you can just tear them. So you can do whatever, but do use every scrap, and it saves you a little bit of money to buy more crafting supplies, right? So I'm going to be somewhat generous because the snowman gets a little heavy there. And we'll peel those backings off. As you can see, I got a little random on putting them down, but it's all going to work. Get the last ones off. There we go. Now when I put it on the card front, I'm going to pay attention to the borders on the top, the bottom, and the right-hand side. I want those to be relatively even, and then this side's just going to take care of itself. There, we've got it like that. Now we need to build a snowman, right? So I brought in this piece of pumpkin pie, and it's just a scrap piece, as you can see, but I think it's about 1 3/4 wide. And again, that was totally random. It just depends what you like for the size of your nose. And what I did is I started here, and I'm going to cut at a bit of an angle, and I'm going to let my paper, keep my scissors somewhat straight, but I moved my paper a little bit because a carrot isn't straight, right? And so we've got that wobbly there. Now I'm going to start here and go to this point. So I'm creating a wobbly triangle, which is going to look just like a nose. Now, if you were making lots of these, you can just keep making your triangles and it works out beautifully. So there we've got it like that, and it's going to go here. But just before we do that, I think I like it like that. I'm going to bring in a bit of pumpkin pie ink. And a sponge dauber. Now sponge daubers come 5 to a package, and you can wash them, but over the years I've gradually collected enough to have them for each color. And I'm just going to ink the edges. It adds a bit of dimension, and it's so easy to do. So the sponge is just picking up the ink and doing that. So here we go. We'll close that up before we put a finger in it or something. And add a little bit of glue to this. And you see how it's starting to go? Okay, now we need some eyes. So what I did in the ones that I did for my swaps, I used the flat adhesive backed pearls. I've only got 2 left. And I colored them with my black blends so that it looked like coal eyes. And they're not even or that kind of thing. So it all worked well. So I am right out of those, but I have more arriving, I think, tonight, actually. So I looked through my supplies, and I have these adhesive backed sparkle gems, which are actually becoming a real favorite of mine as I use them. And there are different colors. There's gold and silver and black and clear, and they come in different sizes. So I want the big ones. I'm going to open a brand new package just for you, since I've used up all the others. And I want these big black ones. So doesn't that look like coal to you? To me it does. I think they're perfect. So you can, if you have pearls, you can color them, whatever. So we're put these on, and I found that it helps if I turn my card sideways for that. I just get some better placement. And I like to keep my embellishments in these clear cases. I just find it handy. So anyway, there we've got it like that. So we just have a few more things to do. The snowman needs a bow for his scarf, right? So we're going to bring in this ribbon. This ribbon is part of a trio pack from the annual catalog. This is Azure, I don't know how to say it properly, Afternoon. And I just love how bright it is. And I love the silver thread on the edges. It just catches the sparkle. Now that's a wonky bow, right? So you know that you hang on to the center and then start to pull and adjust. You might have to tighten it a bit, but you can keep working it till you get it to the size and the way you want it. As long as you hang on to that middle, it doesn't unravel. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And we'll go like that. Move this stuff out of the way. Now to put this on, I'm again going to bring in my glue dots. And I'm going to take my take your pick tool. Now, if I stuck this onto here, this is going to move around a lot. So what I decided to do is I picked up a glue dot with my take your pick. You could use the end of your scissors too. And I know my bow is going to go right about here. So I'm just lifting this up, sticking the glue dot down. And then when I put this ribbon down, I'm also scrunching it up. So I'm making it look like I actually tied the bow right here. So it serves two purposes. It's holding the ribbon in place, and it's also making it look like I tied a bow there. I just find it easier to do my bows this way than trying to fit the right spot on the paper. So I've now put a glue dot on the back of my bow, and we're going to go like that. Ooh, he's looking so cute. Then we have one last thing to add. In my stash, I happen to have the adhesive-backed snowflake assortment. You can find them on the online exclusives. And the snowflakes come in different sizes and different colors. So there's gold, copper, and white. And I'm going to put one of these white snowflakes right about here. And let's see, let's go like that. And then just like that, we have the card done. Well, almost done. We need to do the inside, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back the Sparkling Snowflake stamp set. And I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take this little guy here. Just a little one. So I want that. And then make the season sparkle. Yes, that would be perfect for the inside. So we'll take those two. Now there's a great punch that comes with this set as well, but we're just using the stamps. So with photopolymer or the clear stamps, I like to put them down and then pick them up. They retain their shape that way. And if you like your stamps straight, you can always use your grid paper, line them up and go like that. So now we'll bring in our foam mat again, the Stampin' Pierce mat. And let's do the snowflakes in Pool Party. That's a nice, gentle color. And I want them to be soft. So I'm going to stamp off once and like that. I just want them to be a background feature. There we go. But why did I restamp? Because when you go off the page like that, you're going to have a ridge in the ink, and it's going to show up the next time you stamp. So that's why you want to do that. All right, so we've done that. And now we'll just do the sentiment and fasten it in, and we will be done. So I'm going to do the sentiment in black, because after all, the card base is black. And we'll ink this up. And I find if I use grid paper, it helps my eyes see straighter. It increases the chances anyway. There we go, just like that. Put that to the side. And we're going to fasten that inside our card. And we have one completed snowman card. So I love being able to use the deckled circles in all different ways. And this is one great way. So we've got it in blue. Just got to take that out, sorry. And in red and in gingham. So what color scarf would you put on your snowman, do you think? And maybe what color is your favorite here? So let me know that. And while you're looking at that and leaving the comments, I just wanted to share some other projects that I have that use the deckled circles. So it just gets your brain, the ideas going. So we've got those. So on this one here, the deckled circles were used to just create these layers right here. So they work great for layers because there are so many in the graduated sizes. And again, this is another example of them using the layers like that. So this one is from my friend Joanne, and she didn't use two deckled circles, but her bottom one was deckled circles. So it just adds interest to the card right there. And here again, this is a neat fun fold. This was just to use as like a label. So we could do it that way. Then we can also use the deckled circles to cut an opening in your card and put something behind it. So there's that. And then I saw this idea and I had to give it a try. So this was made from a half sheet of cardstock and just doing a partial cut, so that adds interest by having that kind of layer. And then I use the Forever Forest Trees to do this because I really like Louise Penny books. And those of you who read Louise Penny, her main location is called Three Pines. And I have a friend also who loves Louise Penny. So this is for her, the Three Pines. So that's where I was going with that card there. Thank you, Kathy. Click the like button. It helps me stay on YouTube. Oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yes, clicking the like and the subscribe button make a huge difference for me on YouTube. And my followers are actually growing. I'm excited to say thanks to people doing things just like that. So thank you so much. And I see that one of you likes the blue. One of you likes the red, and you can see that you could make an assortment. And if you have lots of scraps of ribbon, this is a good way to use up your scraps because you can make a whole village of snowmen like this. So thank you for joining me for my maiden YouTube live, and take care, everyone, and have some fun. Bye-bye. Now I have to figure out how to stop.